excited to see you back for another grammar lesson. Today, we are learning how to use the present progressive in Spanish. What is that? Don't worry. You know, us Spanish teachers sometimes use those terms, but I'm here to break it down for you. Present progressive is simply going to be used to talk about the things that happen now, in this moment. If you're new to my channel, I am teacher Catalina, and I teach Spanish. If you like my lessons, don't forget to click that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you are notified every time that I have a new lesson. Okay, el presente progresivo, the present progressive. Let's break it down. Guess what? You already know how to use it in English. So our job today is to make sure that we use that background knowledge so you can apply it towards learning it in Spanish. So what is the present progressive? The present progressive is simply used to talk about the things that are happening right now. Like, for example, I am speaking. I am talking. I am thinking about what I'm going to say next. You are watching my video. Do you see how the present progressive works in English?
Yes.
Awesome. So in Spanish, it's going to work very similar. There are some irregularities that we're going to have to deal with, but for the most part, we are going to be working along the same lines as English. So let's go ahead and jump into our lesson so you can learn how to use the present progressive and you can talk about the things that you are doing right now or that somebody else is doing right now. Okay, so how do we form the present progressive in Spanish? Very simple. We are going to focus on a formula here. And if you kind of follow those steps of that formula, you will form the present progressive.
Wow!
So you already know parts of this formula. So the formula goes, the present tense of the verb estar, which you and I have done in the past. Or if you're just joining us, check below and you can get that lesson. Plus the present participle, and that basically will equal our present progressive. You may not know the present participle, which is really what we're going to be focusing on today, given that you already know how to conjugate estar, but don't worry, we will do a very quick review of estar to make sure that we are all in the same level. So again, one more time, let's look at our formula. We have the present tense of estar plus that present participle, and that's what is going to give us that present progressive. Think about it in English. Here's an example. I am eating. I am dancing. I am speaking. That am part, that's our estar. And now we're going to focus on the ing part, which is going to be our present participle. Okay, amigos, so keeping in mind our formula, we have to review the verb estar, which means to be able to say things such as I am, you are, he is, she is, and so forth. So you already know the subject pronouns. That is something you should be very comfortable with. And what I'm going to do is we're going to review the conjugations of the verb estar, which you should already know. And again, if you need an in-depth lesson, look below. There will be a link to the conjugations of the verb estar and a little bit more of a video lesson. Right now, we are going to quickly go through the conjugations so we have that part of our formula. Good?
Perfect.
Perfecto. Muy bien. So our conjugations of the verb estar in the present tense are already on our board. Okay, so according to our formula, we need the present tense of the verb estar and we need the present participle. Just for your own information, the subject pronouns are here as reference. You can use them, but you don't have to. So that is up to you. The other thing I want to make sure that you pay close attention to is the fact that estar has a bunch of accents. So if you are taking this class at a school or at a college or at a university, most likely things will be marked wrong if you don't have those accents. So very, very important that you pay attention to that. So let's focus on what is it that we have to learn to create, to put together the present participle of verbs so that we can finish up our formula and talk about the things that we're doing right now. So to form the present participle, we are going to divide them, basically the verbs, into two categories. AR verbs, and we're going to put together our ER and IR verbs. Remember, AR verbs are verbs in the infinitive that end in AR, like cantar, bailar, hablar. ER and IR verbs in the infinitive, they end in ER and IR, like comer and escribir. Good?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's learn how do we form the present participle of verbs in the infinitive. So to form the present participle of an AR verb, all we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the AR, poof, gone. We can use our scissors in a little bit. And we're going to add ando. That is how you create the present participle. Get rid of the AR and add ando to AR verbs. Now, for ER and IR verbs, the rules are similar. We get rid of the ER or the IR, poof, scissors, or whatever you want to use, your imagination, and we add yendo. So if it's an ER and IR verb, we add yendo. If it's an AR verb, we add ando. That's how we create that present participle. So I want to show you an example of both AR and ER and IR verbs so you can actually see how we create that present participle. Okay, so again, our rule for the present participle says we have to get rid of the AR, and here's the verb hablar, to speak. So let's get rid of that AR. Poof, it's gone. And now all we're going to do is we are going to add ando. Ando. And that creates the present participle. So now, in order for us to create the present progressive, we're going to follow our formula, which says the present tense of estar plus the participle of that verb. So if I am speaking, which I'm doing right now, I would say estoy hablando. Estoy hablando. Could you say yo estoy hablando? Absolutely. Is it required to use the subject pronoun? No, it is optional. But the important part and the parts that are required are the present tense of the verb estar and this participle here. If you are speaking, you would say estás hablando. We are speaking, estamos hablando. We are speaking. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes están hablando. And that's how you put together the present progressive. Now let's look at an example of an ER verb, comer, to eat. What do we do to get that present participle? We cut off, we get rid of the ER, poof, gone. And since it is an ER verb, we are going to add yendo. So we would say, nosotros estamos comiendo. Nosotros estamos comiendo. We are eating. Yo estoy comiendo. That's again how you form the present progressive. Present tense of estar, and then the present participle. If it's an AR, you use ando. If it's an ER or an IR, you use yendo. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the verb escribir. It is an IR verb and it means to write. So it follows the same rules as ER verbs. So just for the sake of it, let's write yendo here again so you can kind of see them all together. So what we're going to do is we have the verb escribir and we're going to get rid of the IR. Poof, gone. And now all that we're going to do is we're going to add yendo. Because it is an ER and IR verb, they share the same ending for the present participle. So if I am writing, I would say estoy escribiendo. Like right now, I'm doing this right now. I am writing. So again, here you have an example of an AR verb, an ER verb, and an IR verb. They all work the same. We follow our formula, present tense of estar. Then we use either AR, ER, or IR participle, which is basically we take the infinitive, we get rid of the AR, ER, or IR, and we add the ando for AR verbs and the yendo for ER and IR verbs. And that's what you do to talk about the things that you're currently doing in this moment or somebody else's. So to say that something is not happening right now, you put the no in front of the verb estar. So for example, I could say, no estoy cantando. No estoy cantando. Estoy hablando. Estoy hablando. No estoy comiendo. No estoy comiendo. Estoy hablando. Awesome job learning how to put together the present progressive to talk about the things that you're doing right now. Before you go, I want to make sure that you know there's something that you really have to remember. Think about this verb, the verb leer, and maybe even this verb, the verb oír. Leer, to read, oír, to hear. When you take off the ER or the IR, the stem ends in a vowel. And the rule says that when the stem ends in a vowel, you cannot keep the yendo of the ER and IR verbs. You have to change that I to a Y. So it wouldn't be leyendo. That sounds yucky. You can't really even roll it. That I changes to a Y, so we can say leyendo. Yo estoy leyendo un libro. Yo estoy oyendo una clase. So again, make sure that you know if the stem of the verb ends in a vowel, in ER and IR verbs, that I of the yendo changes to a Y to say yendo. It's a little bit stronger. Leyendo, oyendo. So now that we got that out of the way, let's do a little bit of practice to make sure that we know how to use the present progressive. I am going to show you a couple of scenarios using chores because those are things that we may have to do around the house. Maybe I have to vacuum or I have to mop something or clean something. Again, I am going to show you a picture and you are going to decide whether that's happening right now or it is not happening right now. So, ¿estás listo? Woo! Muy bien! Let's see how you do with the present progressive. ¿Está barriendo? Sí, él está barriendo. ¿Están cocinando? No, no están cocinando. Ellas están lavando la ropa. ¿Están pasando la aspiradora? No, no están pasando la aspiradora. Ellos están haciendo la cama. ¿Están lavando los platos? Sí, están lavando los platos. ¿Está limpiando el baño? No, no está limpiando el baño. Ella está sacando la basura. ¿Cómo te fue? How did you do?
Perfect.
Perfecto! Remember that learning a foreign language takes practice. And remember that this video is here for you to play and replay as many times as you need to, today or in days to come. One more time, remember that to talk about the things that are happening right now, we use this formula, where we use the present tense of the verb estar, which includes estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están, plus the present participle, which we basically take an AR verb, we get rid of the AR and we add ando, or if it's an ER and IR verb, get rid of the ER and IR and add yendo. Unless the stem ends in a vowel, we add yendo. And that basically gives us the present progressive. If this is the first time that you join me for a lesson, please remember that you can go to my channel and you will be able to find a ton of more lessons for your Spanish learning or your Spanish journey. And while you're there, go ahead and click that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any lessons. And por favor, please, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. And don't forget that you can get a free PDF reference handout about this lesson and a ton of other lessons by going to my website at www.teachercatalina.com. Muchísimas gracias, amigos. I am super excited that we were able to learn together how to talk in the present progressive tense and be able to talk about the things that are happening right now. I can't wait to see you for the next lesson. Hasta la próxima vez. Adiós.